I will call the meeting of the Westminster Select Board to order Wednesday, January 24th, 2024. It is 6:31 p.m. Any adjustments to the agenda? Seeing none. Acceptance of minutes, January 10th, 2024.
Motion to accept the minutes for the Westminster Select Board for January 10th, 2024 as written and submitted.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You should have one abstention.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, yeah. So it's 1, 2, 4, yeah, thank you.
Communications and public comment. Anything?
Yeah. The politicians that come to the town meeting, is there a way that we can get them to come before our town meeting starts?
The what? I'm sorry.
The politicians that come, our representatives that
politicians.
come to the town meeting, so that they don't take up our town meeting and they might actually be able to answer some questions and not just give their spiel and then walk off the stage. I mean, when you are up there, you have to answer questions. When the fire district and myself are up there, we have to answer questions.
We can certainly entertain in creating a,
Request that.
yeah, just request a little meeting.
Often they have hung around even for lunch. So I mean, there have some
Right.
individuals of them, and not all of them have stayed around to eat, especially at lunchtime. But the other point is that they use a lot of time in the beginning. It does take away from town meeting time.
I think town meeting is town meeting. We should get started and do our business. And whether it's 9:30 or 9 o'clock or whatever, a half an hour before town meeting starts, that's when the representatives will be there and their spiel and maybe answer some questions.
We want to have the manager contact them and see if that's if it fits their schedule, if it.
Yeah.
Whatnot.
Yes.
I think it's though in doing that we want to if we do ask and if they do say yes, well, sure, we're happy to come at 9:30 or 10 that the voters know that, because some voters actually want to hear what they have to say, report from up there, and very much actually, and would be disappointed to not know that it's already happened when they got there.
We try to the morning.
If we change the time on the morning, although that would just mean that town meeting starts earlier, which isn't necessarily the case. But I think we could. I don't know why we couldn't.
I will meet with the town clerk to determine the actual starting time, and if that can be amended to include that.
Or some indication that they'll be available earlier than actual
Right.
town meeting. Any other communications and public comments? All right, moving on then to new business. A, town meeting articles. So in the packet is a draft of the articles. Did anybody have any comments?
Is this something that has gone through legal counsel already?
It has been sent to Attorney Slayson and not had any feedback from them.
This is just what Chip had created.
I created them based on previous year's language. I did bounce them off the Chip to see if there was any procedural differences with what should be there. He seemed to think everything looked good, so at that point I sent them the mail.
As a heads up, the usual problem with our warning and town meeting, and it's come up many times, is we have a budget, and there are sometimes special articles that are voted on, new appropriations or additional appropriations for town organizations. And the eternal question is, does our budget already include those? And if they're turned down, does it reduce our budget? Or do they add to the budget, and therefore should we vote on the budget after those special articles? But typically we vote on the budget first. And so each of them, the typical pattern has that when we approve a special article, it increases that, and then there's confusion because people have received a town report, the implications for their taxes and all, and then
It changes.
only subsequently realize that each thing logically is changing the expenditure of the
The
town.
only difference is Article 5 was the only petitioned article. Westminster Gazette asked for 8,000 instead of the 5,400 that was budgeted. So 5,400 comes out of the original budget request.
Mhm.
And then if the townspeople decide 5,400 is all they get, then it goes back to what the original budget was. If they decide 8,000 is the right number, then it would increase the total budget by $2,600.
And for you as town manager, this question comes up every year, and just a concise, somebody will ask, does this increase the budget? And the answer is a nice yes. And hopefully that'll make it all clear. But Jason, do you have other remembrances of how this gets done?
Well, I think last year, because we were in, I'm not even gonna use the word, I don't know what we were in last year, but we had Chip there, and he could plug, if something was voted on, for whatever the dollar figure was, he could plug it in his computer, and he'd know right there, this is what it changed it right now.
Yeah, because last year we had a lot of articles, and there was also the confusion about the highway and the
Yeah.
general fund, and then there was the.
So I guess maybe my suggestion would be, if the board agrees to, it's gonna cost us a little money to have Chip there. I thought it worked good that we knew right where we were.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think it's very important to avoid that confusion,
Yeah.
and have that answer right
And I
there.
didn't mean to cut you off, I was.
No, I know, I thank you for remembering how last year we managed to get by this, but it has a long delay in
Wait,
time.
I've already asked Chip what his availability is, and he's planning on being there.
Yes, David.
I'll just note that the school portion of the meeting
Is first.
does exactly what we're suggesting, which is it has the main budget article at the end after everything else has been voted on.
And that main budget article will be, does it assume that everything is going to be clear, or does it assume that none of those clear, and then it changes when things do
It
clear?
has a figure in it,
Uh-huh.
but that figure is subject to what's voted on before.
And so when something passes, it increases the figure. Okay.
And it's, I mean, obviously it works either way. We've done it either way probably for 150 years.
But now we're doing the town different from the
We're doing the
school.
town different from the
In
school.
the same meeting.
I forget what the fire district does, but.
Yeah, everything's not in our budget is 5 unless somebody amends the budget
Well, correct.
or changes something or adds to the school, or then that's where you get into that, like, where are we? I think if he's there, he can plug those numbers in and we'll know that it changed 5 cents or 12 cents or whatever. But yes, it gets super confusing to where we're at. And takes a lot of time. Do you need to pick who presents each article tonight, or is this just a draft for?
I think this is just a draft for review.
Yeah, if it pleases the board, that is the version that will go into the town report. We are under a little bit of a
Time crunch.
time crunch to get the town report completed, because we will be dealing with some shortages in the office shortly.
We certainly can choose who's,
I just didn't know if that's what the purpose of this was.
we can certainly choose who's gonna present which article now, and if something changes between now and then it's okay. That happened last year.
We just need to approve this as written.
Uh,
Or not
Yes.
even-
Or do we want to do like pending legal, approve it?
When's it going to printer?
Quick, I think.
Yeah,
Next week.
Next week,
Yeah.
not tomorrow.
so
But do we anticipate hearing from our attorney before it
that's
goes to the printer?
up for debate.
He doesn't work Fridays and he's got tomorrow.
Right, so he has tomorrow.
I mean, if you went over it, Chip went over it, you didn't see any issues,
And in past warrants that I've drafted, to copy and paste the language, if it passes the muster one year, Sure. Yeah, there's really no reason that it should change in the subsequent year.
I'll make a motion to approve the warning for the annual meeting, March 2nd, 2024, as presented.
Seconded, Millie.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the warning for the annual town meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to make sure, there's no other petitioned articles out there?
Last day for petitions was the 18th.
Okay, nothing else, nothing, so this is everything that came in?
That is everything.
Good, okay.
Did I just see a list of that?
Here, you can have mine, I have an email copy.
Articles 5 and 6 are the only,
There was one out for the bicycle thing, must be they didn't have enough.
Right, I met with them, talking about that in the town manager's.
All right,
Great.
any more town meeting article warning, questions, comments, discussions? All right, moving on, sheriff's MOU for Westminster and Putney. So Lou has been working with Sheriff Anderson and the town of Putney to create our memorandum of understanding. I think it looks good. Does anybody have any
well,
questions, comments?
I just wanted to clarify, are Putney and us spending the same amount on the sheriff's department now? I don't think so.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Dollar for dollar, yes,
we're spending, Putney's spending the same dollar amount that we're spending.
yes.
Okay, and so this is half. I didn't know whether, for some reason I thought we upped it past what they were spending, but it looks like we just matched theirs now.
Right.
Lovely, that makes it all very easy.
Yes.
We match theirs.
Yes, there is actually a little leftover in our budget.
We need a motion.
Yes, please.
Motion.
You had one question.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm just wondering what the figure is, like what is Westminster spending and what is Putney spending on our share budget?
104,000
So that went up how much from last year?
voters
And
wanted to increase it from 60, they essentially doubled the budget.
Yeah.
So that we would have a full-time officer available.
So that budget includes a full-time.
Includes 40 hours of coverage.
Just to be clear, I think we would mention it, that towns that have their own police department, it's like 500,000.
Way
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
You know, I totally
Yeah,
understand.
the
that. I
term
mean, to
full-time
have
is probably not a great term to
Well,
use.
You know,
40
because-
40 hour week.
Right.
You look at Bells
Right.
Falls, you know, Alston, New Hampshire, Walpole, New Hampshire, of course it's gonna be more. I'm just curious, because hopefully they'll step up to the plate and give us those hours for that figure that we're gonna be paying.
So
as taxpayers.
what this memorandum says is that the sheriffs will provide 80 hours a week to Putney and Westminster. So there will be, for 80 hours a week, there'll be a deputy in one town or the other. It can be called from Putney to Westminster or Westminster to Putney. So they will be covering the whole area
Which is
together.
closer to us, yes.
Yeah, so, but that's how it's structured, so that we're actually getting more coverage than 40, but they're also sharing.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Madam Chair, may I now proceed?
Yeah, can you just make the motion to include the assignments as well?
Sure. Madam Chair, motion to approve the sheriff's memorandum of understanding for Westminster and Putney, and authorize our town manager to execute on the town behalf.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on to dissolution of the ARPA committee. So after our meeting in December, and we had a brief discussion about what other ARPA projects are out there that we've received applications for that haven't come before the select board yet. There was the cemetery wall, potential painting of town hall. We've already approved use of funds to repair the Hearst House next year. And then when we put some of the ARPA funds into the paving budget to beef up our bridge fund, that has essentially used up the ARPA funds. And I had a conversation with Paul, and Paul has sent me this email. Hello all, it was to he CC'd me and then the rest of the ARPA committee. So hello all, I received news from the select board chair that at last night's select board meeting, which would have been December 27th, that at that meeting, the board decided to effectively spend the remaining ARPA funds on town expenses. That decision means that there's nothing left for the committee to do. I was asked if I had asked him. He says, I was asked if I thought there was a need for a January meeting, and my answer was I didn't see the need, and requested the select board move to disband the committee. And he goes on to say, I would like to thank my fellow committee members for their participation. We have an extra Wednesday evening back in your calendar. So I did make it clear to Paul that we have not actually approved the spending of these funds.
We need
The select board. So funds have not been officially obligated to those projects, but so it's, I guess, up to us whether we want to dissolve the ARPA committee, and then if anybody brings a potential proposal to the town, we would review it ourselves. There's not that many, I mean, there haven't really been any coming in that I'm aware of.
People have had time to,
Correct.
And what's in the pipeline, so to speak, we'll chew up pretty good chunk of it. Won't be a whole lot.
Right, if there's any left over. Right?
Yeah, right.
You know, so that was, if the select board wishes to dissolve the ARPA committee, we just need a motion to do so.
And the ARPA committee wishes to be dissolved.
Yes, they do.
Seems like
It's my impression they-
with thanks would be in order.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to officially dissolve the ARPA committee with thanks for all their hard work.
Millie, I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any other discussion?
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, planning commission options. So as you know, the chair of the planning commission resigned officially at the last select board meeting. So there, with 5 seats on the planning commission, there's not enough members to have a quorum. So Lou has done some research, and he has some recommendations that we could do. You want to take it away, Lou? Or,
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair.
all right.
The Windham Regional Commission let me know that the select board can opt to go to a 3-member commission, is one choice. Some information from VLCT shows that select board members can serve as voting members on planning commission. So really, it's up to the board to choose the direction that they feel is going to be best for some equal and fair representation among the 2 separate boards, whether it's a shorter roster on the planning commission or active voting members from both the select board and the planning commission.
Lou, can you say how many members still exist in the planning commission now?
To my knowledge, 2. I could be wrong. I've been told that people have resigned, but I have no record of a written acceptance of the resignation.
Your brother was on, that was official.
Yeah, he was official.
But he officially resigned.
He was official.
And I think Soroya officially resigned.
And I had a conversation with her, and she said she did, but as procedurally, we should have written documentation voted on by the select board to accept those resignations.
A website lists Barry, Seamus, Soroya Crouch, Michelle Kemmler, Richard Crocker, alternates for training.
So, well, that hasn't been updated
No.
in years.
So who would the two? The two would really be,
Stephen and Michelle. So the question, if we changed it to a 3-member commission, then they at least still have a quorum. So then we could at least, because there's a time frame for accepting the new town plan, we're already past that.
You're exactly right, because that's really the sole order of business now, is to allow the previous version of the town plan to be accepted again, to buy us time to get another one drafted.
And you need your town plan in order to apply for grants and
Correct.
aid.
Correct.
So
there's actually two orders of business. One is to re-accept the old town plan adjusted for new census figures.
no, we cannot, the Windham Regional Commission is working on that.
They're working on adjusting it for
Yeah,
new census.
the existing town plan
Mhm.
would be the one put back to the regional commission as is.
But does a quorum of the planning commission have to rubber stamp the
Yes.
existing town plan once corrected by the Windham Regional Commission for the new figures?
Yes.
Yes.
So we do need a body that can rubber stamp that. That's been our intention, because there's no time for anything else.
Right.
And then there must be a date for a new town plan. When's that?
I would have to-
Once we've put in that one as a placeholder, when does the new one have to be done?
I will have to follow up with Mike McConnell on that. I think it's 2 years, but I'm not 100% certain of that.
Yeah, because that's where we really do need a functioning committee, and perhaps with several, more than 2 members on it,
Well,
to actually do the work.
To your point though, Stephen, I think that if we are able to produce a quorum for the planning commission to move this current version back to Windham Regional,
Mhm.
to get that approved, then the board can look back at getting the planning commission back up to 5 members to get the work done to draft a new town plan.
Just a point of process. Does the planning commission have to, and I thought it had already, approve this to go back to the regional commission? Or does the regional commission have to do the edits necessary with the census data, and then the planning commission has to approve it?
My understanding from the regional commission is that the existing town plan, the way it is, would simply be approved by the planning commission. At that point, then the select board approves that approval, then it goes to the regional commission, in which case we are eligible to apply for grant funding again.
And my recollection, you have any minutes in front of me, is that the planning commission already approved resubmitting the former town plan to the regional commission.
I'll have to go back through the
In
meeting
which
minutes
case,
to
it would
determine
simply
that.
be the select board, who may also have done that. The question is, who's waiting on who? So, if we're waiting on the planning commission, we certainly need to have something that has a theoretical quorum. If we're waiting on the select board, we simply need to get that job done. And if we're waiting on the regional plan, they need to be told it's in their lap, and they need to finish it and get it to us.
Mike McConnell says that he does not have a current town plan for Westminster.
I was under the impression that we were.
Yes.
So I will follow up with him first thing tomorrow.
I think we need to figure this out, because it also matters a bit on the level to which we create or justify a 2-person planning commission to simply say yes.
Got it. I will follow up with him first thing tomorrow.
Yeah. So I don't know. My recollection, having been to meetings, was that it was
we were provided a timeline for adopting the town plan by Windham Regional Commission at one of our select board meetings. And it was something, we were, I wish I had it with me, because there was something that was supposed to happen in December, which might have been I think the select board didn't have anything to do, quote, until, no tasks until February by that timeline. And I don't know if that originated from an email from Barry or from Mike, but there was a timeline provided at some point.
It did seem to be a fairly simple job of taking current census data and putting it into the header paragraphs of the town plan, saying this is how many people live here. Not very complicated.
I'll get some answers tomorrow.
Yeah, and so we may not be as far off as we are, but it does still mean that we could perhaps take actions to make it possible for the planning commission to do some theoretical work, like making a 3-member board, but also, boy, it would be nice to get people involved, because there's work to be done.
Would it make the most sense to just tonight make it a 3-member board for the purpose of approving that and going back to 5 when we have members? So we can get that done?
That was gonna be my suggestion.
I just don't want to hold something up, that's all.
Same.
Absolutely. So
I don't think 3 is a good number either, but it's what is going to make something move along.
And if we have more than one increase of 5,
I should.
you can't, you're a member, you can't vote, you can't sit there.
Well, I can't vote either, but again, where was this memorandum created? Mr. Town Manager?
That's from VLCT.
It's excellent. I would, if any member of the public is watching, takes a look at this. This is riddled with conflict of interest, which is the law. Okay, it's not some esoteric thing that's out there. Okay, so this is scenarios here. Select person votes for themselves, the planning commission. Conflict, select person votes, blocks their own removal. Conflict, select person votes, very good town plans. My point is, I can't vote on whether or not we go down to 3 to 5. There's a reason we have 5 in the town of Westminster. It would be folly, just for the sake of expediency, to go to 3, because when I know, serving here as long as I have, that probably won't go back to 5. And there's a very good reason why we have 5. We've always had 5. So we can get 5, and I believe the only reason we don't have 5 is because, unfortunately, we've been without a town manager. Now that we have an excellent town manager, I think we'll have 5 when the time is, when we get enough people to know that we need those people to serve. But I just want to have my 2 cents. I can't vote on it anyway out of conflict. But this memorandum clearly states to me that a select board member shouldn't be serving on this commission, irrespective, because the law says that it doesn't have to. The number of conflicts that are created just in this memorandum clearly shows you why we wouldn't do that and haven't done it in the past. And there's an old saying in this town, which has been around a long time: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. As my friend here likes to say, been working here for 300 years. And for 300 years, it works. So that's my 2 cents, and I can't vote on it.
So the other
Why
scenario,
do you put yourself in front of
his wife,
Michelle Schmielar is my spouse. She serves on the commission. That's okay. Nobody gets her name right.
Doesn't look anything like that.
so the other scenario that we could consider is we can try to recruit some planning commission members between now and the next meeting. Because the next meeting will be in February. So in theory, we haven't, missed our deadline, whatever that is. So we can consider decreasing the board to a 3-member board at that time if we don't have enough interest. That's the other option. This, unless somebody else has an idea.
If I may add, I served on the planning commission for 2 years, and I was proud to serve. We never had an issue. We had an issue again with attendance usually on Wednesday night, no problem. But at the end of the day, never had an issue, so I don't know what went on here, it does not really matter, once we get it fixed. I'm not here to obstruct, I'm just saying, when I read this memorandum, it's raising some serious flags that we should consider before we just get ahead.
I just want to differ with you, Kevin. I'm sorry. This says there are no statutory incompatible offices according to VSA S 2647, and nothing prohibits the select board from holding any of these positions simultaneously. And I think it's actually been a common precedent for members of any small town government to hold multiple offices. The one I'm more familiar with is the extremely common situation where people serve on the town school board and also on the Union High School board. And the town board has a role in where the students go and their, they also serve on the supervisory union board. So there's often, in a small town, a limited pool of people who are willing to serve. The conflicts they mention are theoretical, but I think that they're trying to find ways that it could be an issue. I don't know as these are real issues that pop up. So I just want to say that I do differ with your reading of this memo. These conflicts they mention are ones that they would love it if there were lots of volunteers for town offices, but there ain't. That's why, one of the reasons why we don't have people. So anyway, that's.
Quick rebuttal, Madam Chair. I certainly respect that. I'm not here to litigate it, but I'm certainly not reading the same thing, okay? It says here, holding these dual options presents multiple opportunities for both apparent and actual conflicts of interest. And as I stated, they list 3 very clear ones as to why a select person should not be serving on these committees. And as I said, I have served at length on the DRB board, the planning commission. We have plenty of citizens. Now, in the aftermath of COVID, certain other factors, I'm sure we can get the right number of people. There's a reason why we have 5. And this board already has adopted, and should adopt for the next meeting, our renewal of the conflict of interest policy, which is state law, enacted in 2009, specifically to avoid the types of conflicts that create duress and other things that occur because the select board is supposed to be acting in the planning commission is supposed to be acting in an advisory role to the select board and telling us from an independent standpoint what they're supposed to do. This has to do with the classic separation of positions and power. And I just don't think this is something we should toy with because there's no need to do it. And simply because it's statutorily not required. Hey, the 9th Amendment says because it's not written in the Constitution, you can't restrict it. You can't just go out and drive a car without a license. Okay, so we can go all night on this. The bottom line is this memorandum very clearly, concisely, in a detailed way shows some conflicts, but I can list a multitude of others. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And I'd just like to add that I do think we ought to have 5 members because there is work to be done. And that I think is the main reason we need to have multiple members is there needs to be somebody working on each section. Richard Grucker, before he resigned, was working very nicely on housing, had some great ideas focused around the accessory dwelling units and the ability to have that in-law apartment or that thing available to house, accessory units on your existing property. He was working, had some great ideas. And that's just an example of why we need more brains on this and people who care about the agricultural sector, housing sector, the economic development sector. we need more people. As certainly, I agree, no useful work would get done with a quorum of 2 people out of a 3-member board. That would not be useful, and I'm not suggesting that. I would not want to be responsible for essentially writing half the town plan myself. So, yes, there should be 5 people.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just curious, is the planning commission and the DRB, are they elected or appointed by the select board?
Appointed.
They're appointed, okay.
So we
I'm
just need a
was
letter
wondering-
of interest from people.
I'm just curious, I
It
didn't
says-
know.
And the planning commission meets on Mondays via Zoom. Well, historically, via Zoom at 6.
And we're good with DRB members, we have enough of them, I'm assuming.
Yes, the
We haven't
DRB,
brought
the
that
DRB,
up.
I believe is fine. It's the planning commission.
Yep, and I do agree with you, Kevin, that conflict of interest is a really important thing, and it's very common in a small town, and it does have to be dealt with. I agree with that.
And we've worked very hard the last
You
6
do-
years.
Yes, we
We don't
have.
want to take a step back.
I agree, I
Thank
totally,
you.
I bet that matters.
Thank you very much.
So,
Road to go down and
so is the consensus to try to recruit people and then address the number of board members if needed at the next meeting?
Sounds
It's only
like
2
that.
weeks, it's only 2 weeks away.
Yeah, and when we do recruit them, put the word out to people who previously served, so that they may be happy to serve again. And there may have been reasons why they couldn't do it for a while and could do it again now. And this could go a ways back, so we could look, who served in the last 10 years. Are they interested in helping out the town again? And that would be lovely.
So there will not be a planning commission meeting in February, because they usually meet the first Monday, I believe. So we'll meet after that. So they will not have a quorum.
And if there's lots of people volunteering, I would be very happy not to do it.
Okay, that's noted.
Just tweet it out of
Noted.
goodwill.
Noted. All right, any more discussion on the planning commission?
I'll table that for now.
Yeah, we'll try to recruit some folks and go from there. All right, moving on to town health officer appointment. So statutorily and contractually, Mr. Lou Bordeaux is our town health officer, but we need to make it official.
Motion to,
Yep.
we'll make a motion to appoint, town manager Lou Bordeaux to, health officer.
I will second that, Madam Chair.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Windham Solid Waste Board of Supervisors appointment. So,
Motion,
yes, we'd
Madam Chair.
already discussed that, but
Yep.
we didn't actually have a motion. So-
may, as the interim person, may I officially move that the Select Board of Westminster appoint our town manager to be the trustee, I think it's trustee, right?
It's on the Board of Supervisors.
Board of Supervisors, excuse me. Board of Supervisors of the Windham Solid Waste Board of Supervisory appointment representing the town of Westminster.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and road commissioner appointment, again, statutorily, our town manager is the road commissioner. But we need to make the official appointment.
Madam Chair,
Gotcha.
I would like at this time to have the Westminster Select Board appoint our town manager officially as the road commissioner for the town of Westminster.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And collector of delinquent taxes.
You just,
You just love it.
boy, yeah, I'm gonna tell you, you'll be in the paper tomorrow.
Madam Chair,
Uh-huh.
at this time, I would make a motion that the Select Board of Westminster duly appoint our town manager as the collector of delinquent taxes for the town of Westminster.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
My condolences to you, Liz.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Right?
They have a lot of cakes around.
All right.
Or donuts.
Moving on to I, Cemetery B.
Madam Chair, at this time, I would like to submit the following cemetery deed under statute on behalf of Norton and Barbara Garber. For one burial section located in Section B, row 14, bounded on the east by Nickerson and on the north by Dow, and Empty on the west, and by King on the south, in the Westminster West Cemetery, and perpetual care thereof, subject to whatever restrictions are imposed. In the amount, the county of Windham, town of Westminster, to accept this for the amount of $310 and no cents.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Town manager's report.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Hope everybody had a very safe commute going to work this morning. I know it's getting a little cold out there again. Coming up 91 this morning. As I was looking over the horizon, it reminded me of the old Doublemint Twins commercial where the people were out skiing. It was just beautiful. And then there was a car or a pickup truck spun around the wrong way on the northbound lane. So please be careful out there, folks. Anyways, on to business. The Windham Solid Waste Management District meeting of the 11th. First of all, thank you for formally appointing me to the district's Board of Supervisors. Sat in on their previous meeting, and while most of the discussion, easy for me to say, would classify as expected, there was one potentially huge eye-opener in that. The district executive director, Bob Spencer, shared that he was helping the town of Vernon draft an RFP for their curbside trash collection. That RFP was sent out to 12 potential contractors. Of the 12, only one responded. It was Casella, and Casella's bid was roughly 3 times what the current budget was. Our contract here in Westminster with Ruggiero goes through the upcoming fiscal year, so we have some time to examine some different options here, but I felt that was information that's beneficial for FY26 and beyond.
I believe I wasn't involved when that RFP went out for our current contract, but I believe that there weren't many options at that time. There were only 2, I think.
There was 3. Ruggiero, I don't think Triple T sent one in, and Casella sent a proposal, but not an actual bid, and they wanted residents to have a big blue totes so they could use the truck, and it wasn't an actual bid, so it really,
Anyway,
essentially one.
So it's just kind of a heads up.
Thank you.
That, come FY26, we may have to look at a different way of doing things to keep things equitable for the townspeople. Rockingham Walk and Bike Committee meeting. Rick Gowan, Marcia Stern, and Bonnie Anderson all stopped into the office and met with me to discuss the work of their committee and to include all of us in their future planning that might make their dreams a reality to improve pedestrian and cyclist infrastructure and safety in our towns. Unfortunately, the committee was not chosen to receive a municipal planning grant this round. As with so many grant-funded projects, there were far more requests than available funding. In total, the Department of Housing and Community Development received requests totaling $1.5 million for roughly $780,000 in funding. Looking at it another way, the requests were nearly double the available amount in funding, and all 32 of the grants did go out, though. Sheriff's Department update. I've been having some difficulty in logging into the Sheriff's website. So Sheriff Anderson reset my credentials, and I've been able to log into their STARS platform now. In keeping with the town dog ordinance, I spoke with ACO Ashley Pinger, And she wanted us to know that according to the town dog ordinance, Article 7, Sections A and B, the animal control officer responded to an incident on Daigle Road on December 28th. It's got a case number. Dog at large, went to location to speak with owner, left business card requesting contact, sent email to owner. Ashley followed up on that on January 15th, saying that she sent a fine, and she followed up with a phone call to me on that. But to keep in the spirit of that ordinance, she wants the select board to be informed of it. She's documented and closed the case. Separately, from the sheriff's office, the town clerk has asked for periodic deputy presence at the town meeting voting day on March 5th, and Lieutenant Howard followed up with me, and he said that we will have coverage as requested on March 5th. Up next, beaver deceivers. In my relatively short time here, there have been numerous meetings, phone calls, and conversations regarding the Henwood Hill Road marsh behind Allen Brothers. Since Mr. Allen was advised by his counsel, there's been some trepidation about moving forward. Skip Lyle, owner of Beaver Deceivers, came into the office on January 12th. We had a really good discussion regarding that and some of his other work throughout the area. He had mentioned the Beaver Working Group could receive grant funding from Bonneville to help with a potential project up in Westminster West. We passed that information along to some people on in the Beaver Control Group. Sorry. The Henwood Hill matter appears to be settled once and for all. I had a conversation with Mr. Allen yesterday, and he told me that based on a variety of reasons, he's not interested in deceiver installation behind his business.
A question?
Yes.
The Henwood one involved two beaver receivers, one on Henwood Hill Road, regulating the water crossing the road itself. Second was in the behind the Allen Brothers, essentially governing the level of the Beaver Dam that controls the water level of the whole area. And that was needing to cross Allen's property. Does his request to have no beaver deceiver there, does that apply to the one on the road as well?
Yes.
And does he actually own that property on the road?
No, he doesn't.
The problem with that one, I'm sorry, you're right, Jackie.
He doesn't own
The problem with that is we would potentially incur liability if there was a big problem with it. And that's been the big sticking point, is the potential liability.
But the that one, its only role, its only ability would be to control the levels on the uphill side of Henwood Hill Road, on the left side, going towards Ridgeville. And any failure of that would not actually impact the level on the lower side, because that's where the water goes. So nothing, so it doesn't seem like Tim Allen has actually a horse in that race, nor would he have any would there be any real liability issue from the town created by his concerns. In my mind,
And you're talking about the Henwood Hill?
the Henwood Hill one,
Yes.
Actually,
on the road. I don't want to create community stir with Allen's about this, and so I think it's probably the better part of valor not to push it. But there's no actually physical or legal reason that Tim Allen should dictate what happens there. It's not his property, it's not his liability risk, it's not a flooding risk to his business. So it all seems like it's like tempest in a teapot. However, we do not need tempests. So if we want to put a beaver deceiver somewhere else, Westminster West would happy, I'm sure, to have it.
Excuse me, just, one thing on this before we pass on. So, going to another subject, so I engaged the owner of the property, Mike Morse, who owns that part of the Henwood Hills.
Yeah, you mean on the far side of the wetlands?
He owns 70 acres, he owns where the beaver, wherever that lake is already
Yeah.
is.
Mhm.
He is totally open to a beaver receiver. It's not all of Allen Brothers wetlands. So he has 70 acres and most of it on that side of the left hand. He's posted, someone took his posted sign down where it stops before that grade where the beaver receiver would be. And he's totally open to that, completely. He would say, yes, why does Allen decide?
I think one of the things about that, and as I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, when Chuck was talking about it, I think you need the two to work together. Am I right on that? Am I wrong? Because if you dump the one into the lower one, then the lower one, you gotta get rid of the lower one to make room to dump the other.
I don't think it doesn't really change the
I'm not, I
water.
may be totally wrong.
I think the problem is it's somewhat wasted, doing just the upper one, except that it would spare our road crew from constantly having to dig it out. So it would essentially spare Chuck and crew, a chore, and they think it would be a nice idea to spare that job that they have to do 6 times a year, of essentially manually digging out any blockage in that area. So rather than a water level concern, because water rises 6 more inches, it goes right over the road. So it's basically easing the work of our road crew. It does seem like
It should be the landowners. I mean, I have land listed where people have wetlands, and it's up to the state of Vermont, really, with a lot of the development, the septic, the building, the zoning. It has to go through Westminster, but it ultimately is the state. But
at the end of the day, that one on Henwood Hill, we have, and I hate using this, if we don't have to, we do have a right of way there. If we needed to and felt to see fit that we did need one, we could put one there. If it's kind of a moot point, it doesn't help either end, then why keep kicking the bees nest? Just let it be. The private property one way out back, I'm excited that we are gonna take that and not pursue it, because I think it's just gonna pull us into a mess that we don't need to be in. If it means they gotta clean a culvert out 6 times a year, it means they gotta clean it. But we do have a right of way there, and if we needed to, we could.
Well,
and Lou, I'm wondering what was Tim Allen's reason for not wanting it? What would be the disadvantage of having a beaver receiver? I'm just wondering.
And he had some personal issues with it.
But he shouldn't be the only one deciding, because there are other people on that road. So I'm just curious why that is our decision.
Well, that was also his
It's his
legal advice, and it's his personal, it's his property. You still have property rights as a landowner.
Right.
So if he says no, he doesn't want it there, he doesn't want it there.
But it's that, where that beaver receiver is not on his property.
The one on Henwood Hill would not be, the second one would be. The town would have to cross private property to go out, maintain this thing. It just opens up a can of worms. It doesn't need to be there.
So the second one must be further back.
And it's way out behind
Vermont
ATG and out in that back field somewhere. I don't honestly know, but it's way out there.
so, yes, there's 2 beaver.
it's at the
receivers,
outflow end of that beaver pond.
and people are confusing
Out toward behind Allen Brothers store.
Yes, north of Henwood Hill Road,
Exactly.
the north end of the
He's
pond.
on the right side, the north end, and this one's on the left. So we need him on both sides.
Well, I'm sure over the years, just with his location and the wetland behind him, he's probably been dealing that with just people in general forever, and why not?
But so do other people with wetlands on their property, so.
But we're
I'm
not
just saying
trying to
I
put
have
anything
it.
on their property.
No, that's just it. I
Yeah.
know, but
If the
a beaver
current
receiver, we are.
If the current landowner of the left-hand side wanted to put a beaver receiver on the left-hand side without asking Tim Allen, they could do so.
Okay,
Absolutely.
cool.
And pay for it on their own. That would be, that's their property. And so you're right, Tim Allen doesn't have the authority to tell somebody else what to do on their own property.
And not that he has, because,
But
my fiance's friends with
the
him.
town is also sort of entitled to say, that's too messy an issue to deal with, and we can achieve some useful thing and accept the grant money for entirely different
For
locations.
different, and we'll just clean out that hole. Right?
Yeah.
It sets a bad precedent to just go out on the private property and start meeting, even if you have permission, because then the next
Oh,
person
of course
says,
you should.
well, my
Without-
stream's buggered up with them too, come help me, and before you know it, you're going all over town.
Without permission, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
thank you,
that was-
thank you.
That was fun.
Sorry.
You're okay.
Something that the board approved at our last meeting, the town hall painting RFP. I compiled a list of 17 potential regional painting contractors. RFP to paint the exterior of town hall will be sent out by the end of the week, as well as advertised in the Commons newspaper. And if you're tuned in at home, we need members for the planning commission. That is all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Lou.
Excellent.
Excellent
Yes,
job.
Steve.
Thank you.
Sorry. Well, one point is, I did want to compliment you on getting it to 17 commercial painters. Because often we just think of a few names and just send it to a rather limited crew. That's a nice way to get a true bidding process going, so
Thank you.
thank you very
Well
much.
done.
Thank you.
Now, last question is, with the large amount of leakage at the high school, we won't worry about this building, is that going to impact our town meeting location?
That's a good question.
Unknown today.
Because I understand they had to try to dry out soaked ceiling and seats, they had to turn the heat way up in there.
So somebody came in this afternoon and said optimistically, at least the chairs and the floor are clean now.
Okay. So, they're supposed to have 60 volts.
Thank you for laughing.
Only 60 volts.
Yeah.
Okay,
And they're gonna get it fixed, but.
anything else for Lou?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My
All right.
pleasure. Thank you all.
Moving on, boards, committees, and commissions. Seeing nothing, other business?
One quick thing, so that came up, we're way ahead of schedule.
There with the schedule?
Just say we are.
We are,
Really, we are?
I was trying for a record like 22 minutes.
No.
yeah, so we talked about the planning commission, but since I'm leaving the board, over the years, Wednesday night has always been problematic. And we've discussed moving Wednesday night to other locations, because Wednesday is the middle of the work week. Most people work on this board, have careers, or also have businesses to run Wednesday, and attendance is important at select board meetings. You know, and in 6 years, I missed 5. I'm proud of that. And I'm sorry for everyone. 2 of those I caused missed meetings because of my health. But, you know, attendance is important. And if we're not getting the attendance for Wednesday, we had this discussion in the past, moving it to a Tuesday or Thursday should be something that we should consider, because those 2 days, it's early in the week. Thursday certainly gives me day. We have less absenteeism and a full quorum moving away from Wednesday. We've had that conversation ever since I've been on the board. I just thought it's something we should bring up, considering the discussion with the planning commission and absenteeism, because again, people have to be places, they have families, they have to travel, they have, unfortunately, funerals and weddings and that type of thing. So I'm just saying, something that we should consider.
The date or day and time of the select board meetings are actually set at the first meeting after a new select board is formed after town meeting. So, yeah, I propose we'd be considering it, but actually changes would happen at that time. I would,
When we reorganize.
it's a fine thing to do.
Thank you. That's it.
Anything else under other business? All right, date of next meeting, Wednesday, February 14th, 2024.
So moved.
Who's gonna get in trouble for not doing their Valentine's Day dinner with their wife?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'll be here.
All right, okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, okay.
Seconded.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
7:30 PM.
Recording stopped.
Who seconded it?
Dan.
Dan.
Even
Is that
your pen got
Jeff?
lost.